Hi, I'm Graham Porter.
I'm David Brodor.
I am Kat Lundy.
Hi, I'm Jesse Vornberg, and we're all part of the Environmental Policy and Management Program at University of California, Davis. The East Bay Regional Park District was created in the throes of the Great Depression in 1934 after voters imposed a 5-cent tax on every $100 of property owned. This vote was precipitated by a survey commissioned by the Olmsted Brothers and after advocacy for parks by various women's groups. The park district started with only 3 parks on about 2,166 acres in Alameda and Contra Costa counties. Today, the size of the district has ballooned to encompass 73 parks over about 125,000 acres. About 87% of funding for the district comes from property taxes, and recent measures voted upon by the state and also residents just of the Park District has provided hundreds of $millions in bonds and increased parcel tax that goes towards parks. The first survey conducted by the district was done in 1976, and since then the district has conducted dozens of more surveys, reaching more and more residents over time using newer technology. A 2019 survey reached about 8,000 residents, the most that the district has reached.
In conjunction with open data sources, we used the survey to investigate the community and their needs. We used specific lenses of how to increase or improve park communication, park access, and community representation within the parks as well.
And now, let me introduce you to the tool.
Upon loading in the story map, you will be greeted by the title and author information, accompanied by a calming view of grass swaying in the wind. As you scroll down, you will first find an overview of both our project and the 6 interpretive zones that it encompasses. Beyond this, you will be able to find any map present in any of our guides in an easy-to-use and interactive format. Let's go ahead and check one out. This first analysis identifies disadvantaged communities within the park district. To accomplish this, we followed state guidance and used the EnviroScreen to create degrees of burden. EnviroScreen consists of many environmental and socioeconomic burden indicators that are indexed to a single value that can then be used to compare different areas. Of note within this map are the areas of darkest orange, which indicate the highest degree of burden relative only to the Bay Area. While developing the guides and these interactive maps, our goal was always to create an easy-to-use decision-making tool for any project within the entirety of the park district. With that in mind, let's now explore an example of how it could be used. Imagine that we want to survey visitors using the Mission Peak Park. One of the first major questions will be to decide how many surveys need to be printed in any one language. To find out, let's first go to the district demographics. Next, we will scroll down to the language mapping. As a longtime resident of Tennessee, I can't actually pinpoint where Mission Peak is, and luckily, I don't have to. Using the search bar in the upper left, I can simply search for it by typing Mission Peak. And there it is. Now we can zoom in for a better view. Notice here that we see a lower than average amount of English-speaking homes here. Keep in mind that our colors here are relative to the average. As you see here in the legend, anything under 39% is put into the smallest bracket. Now let's look at the other major languages. As we scroll down to see Spanish-speaking homes, we again see that around Mission Peak contains a lower than average amount of Spanish-speaking homes. 4% Chinese, which includes both Mandarin and Cantonese, we see a much higher than average amount of residents speaking these languages at home. You can click on any of the district census tracts to pull up a table of all the variables that we used in our analyses. Now let's scroll down to see the true percent of each language spoken. Using the tool, we have quickly answered our question here. Now we know that we need to include more Mandarin and Cantonese surveys if we want to provide inclusive access. And now let's briefly look at some of the other maps we have on offer. We have median income, multiple types of educational attainment, voting hotspots of Measure WW and Proposition 68, and finally, some highlights from our survey. And now, back to David.
Some of our key takeaways from the survey data are centered on park activity preferences and suggested improvements, park accessibility, and representation. Respondents' preferred activity is hiking, no surprise there. Other top responses include dog walking, picnicking, biking, and bird watching. When responding to which features residents would like added to their parks, water filling stations, additional compost and recycling bins, and of course additional restrooms are at the top of their list. One accessibility takeaway includes mapping the walking, biking, and vehicle transportation times to park entrances. Theoretically, most of the district is within a reasonable drive time of their local parks. However, we show that the vehicle ownership is not equally distributed throughout the district. Additionally, we found that the 2019 survey, was not a true representation of the district as a whole, but it does accurately represent which populations attend the parks. This reveals the gap in park access between who is attending and who could attend the parks. The district is making efforts to reach out to these specific populations, such as their more representative 2020 survey.
And finally, we have outlined some areas of future research. One is that we have outlined spatially where more park materials could be offered in languages other than English. We recommend further research into transportation, including transportation by regional trails to improve park access. And we recommend continuing efforts to survey the public and continuing to understand through efforts like the 2020 Community Survey.